Right now on News 3, rising water levels from this week's heavy rains now putting the entire Near East side of Madison at risk.
This is News 3 at 10.
Thanks for joining us tonight. The city keeping a close eye on water levels across Madison tonight as those levels continue to creep up, closing several downtown roads. Today, officials deciding to open the Tenney Dam on the O'Hara River to allow more water to flow through. The move, however, flooding parts of the Near East side. They say the dam is holding and that there is not a serious concern that it'll break. The city now staying focused on the isthmus, specifically the lowest lying areas. As a result, there is an active flood warning right now for much of the east side. From Blair Street east to the O'Hara River, that flood warning in effect until tomorrow afternoon. We have continued team coverage. Adam Duxter in downtown Madison, Madeline O'Neill in Monona tonight, and meteorologist Dave Caulfield monitoring some additional chances for rain. Let's start with Adam, live in downtown Madison now with the latest conditions there. Adam?
Well, Eric, I am at Main Street along the O'Hara River. Should I rather say I am in Main Street along the O'Hara River. I'm actually walking through, seeing minnows swimming down at my feet, but this is where we're at, and this is where the flood levels are looking like as the O'Hara River continues to flow down to Lake Monona. And we're not alone out here tonight. In fact, we've had plenty of visitors. We've seen kayakers, we've seen bikers, we've seen people walking by, everyone trying to get a look at how bad this flooding really has been. The people we've talked to, some of them have lived here for 30 years, and they say this is the worst that they've seen this flooding in this area ever.
Never have seen it. I've seen it a little tiny bit out of the banks this far. Never like up to the sidewalk, never covering Main Street.
Again, this is along Main Street where, for perspective, about a block away from East Washington Street along the O'Hara River. And where we're at right now, there's actually an apartment complex directly to my left. And we were talking to some of the people from the apartment complex here. No evacuations yet, but there is some people living here that have disabilities, and some people have come and taken that precautionary evacuation so far tonight. But again, take a look, the street completely closed. I can't walk more than a few feet back because it gets so deep, and this is along Main Street, right near the O'Hara River on the northeast side of Madison.
Adam Duxter live in downtown tonight. Adam, thank you. And that water now flowing south into Lake Monona, and that's where our Madeline O'Neill picks up our team coverage. Maddie?
Eric, here in Monona, we're hoping this water doesn't rise too much, but Lake Monona is expected to go up after water from Lake Mendota is being pushed into the O'Hara River coming into here because of flooding in Madison. But those in the city of Monona have been working hard for much of the day, making sandbags and making the most of the time they have before the rain hits.
Well, it's really a race against time.
On this sunny day, Monona residents are preparing for a rainy one.
Having a lot of hands make light work. We're filling thousands of sandbags per hour to try to help out our neighbors.
I feel good. It's good to get a workout in. I hope the water goes down fast.
With forecasted rain and additional water being released from Lake Mendota, Lake Monona is expected to rise about 3 inches in the next day or so.
So it's just a matter of time.
Mario Barcena, who manages 2 houses in Monona, has assembled a team to try and keep the properties dry.
Going on 4 hours now.
He's amazed by all the volunteers offering up their time.
This is actually what builds, communities, cities, and countries.
It's great. I can't imagine living anywhere else.
Also donating hours of labor are Dane County inmates.
And we asked if, hey, we're going to be sandbagging. It's going to be heavy physical work. And nobody batted an eye. They're all sticking their hands up. They wanted to participate. They wanted to help out. They want to give back.
The volunteers down here are incredible, and it's an amazing community.
As Monona resident Chris White packs up sandbags for his home.
It's almost an annual occurrence, it seems like.
He's hoping for no rain or close to it.
Hopefully it'll just be a mist, like at the spot.
While workers here dig deep to beat the clock.
We'll be out here as long as it takes.
Workers and volunteers were out making sandbags yesterday as well. Officials estimate between the 2 days they've made about 35,000, and they were out at 8 this morning, just finished up here about a half hour ago. And Eric, depending on the weather, they may be back at it tomorrow morning.
A lot of people pitching in, trying to help. Maddie O'Neill in Monona. Maddie, thank you. The flooding also causing continued traffic headaches all across the county. Tonight, a sinkhole opening up on Century Avenue in Middleton, closing the road in both directions from Donna Drive to Branch Street. Crews say right now it is unknown when it'll reopen, but it will likely be closed all night. Businesses in Middleton along Deming Way are still recovering from this week's flooding. The road closed there due to the floodwaters, but tonight portions of it did reopen. Several businesses along Deming have significant damage. Owners today tell us it may take months for buildings to be fully operational again. People living in low-lying flood-prone areas should be prepared to protect their property from water. The city offering free sand and ready-to-fill sandbags at locations all around the city of Madison. Go to the website for more information. It's cityofmadison.com. Remember to report any property damage to the United Way's 211 line, and there is more rain on the way as well. Let's check in with meteorologist Dave Caulfield. Dave?
Yeah, I hope that this is a miss scenario more than a hit scenario, Eric, but there is that chance of some more heavy rain coming our way by the time we get to tomorrow. Doppler track showing our low pressure system still off to the north and west of southern Wisconsin, but affecting the areas of North and South Dakota, and some showers pushing in to northwestern Minnesota. So we are quiet on Doppler track right now, but it may not stay that way for very long. Showers moving in, at least at the onset, by Friday morning. So downtown Madison on the Edgewater Skycam, looking at those clouds on the increase, but right now still mostly clear, at least at the airport. 68 degrees, south wind at 7 miles per hour. Temperatures are in the 60s and even a few 70s showing up, but temperatures really not moving that much as we head into tomorrow with all the clouds and rain around. Dew points starting to come up a little bit. You could especially notice that across southwestern Wisconsin, where dew points have come up about 8 or 9 degrees compared to this time yesterday. So that humidity on the increase in advance of our next low pressure system. Temperatures starting off in the low 60s tomorrow. We should reach highs in the upper 60s and low 70s with plenty of chances for showers and storms. We'll go over possible rainfall totals into Saturday morning in your first alert forecast in just a few minutes.
Dave, thank you. An apartment building for seniors on Madison's west side has been evacuated. 96 units. This is at Prairie Park, which is on Schrader Road. A building inspection determined conditions were uninhabitable.
We just take it as it comes. We're fortunate. Both of us are healthy, and there are a lot of people in our building that are in walkers and wheelchairs, so they're the ones that are having the hardship.
Officials said residents can stay at the shelter at West High School, stay with family, or stay at a nearby hotel. The village of Shorewood Hills, one of the hardest hit areas from all this floodwater action there, particularly that area for residents along Burbank Place. Garbage trucks lined the streets this afternoon picking up flood damaged items. Basements were filled with soaked personal belongings. Many cars on the street are totaled. Many of the homes are now unlivable. A multi-agency resource center will be open tomorrow and Saturday to help residents affected by the flooding. It'll be open at Mazomanie Elementary School on Ann Street from 1 to 7 tomorrow. Saturday at Blackhawk Church on Brader Way in Middleton. That's from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. The 3 Red Cross shelters in Cross Plains, Mazomanie, and at Madison West High School will remain open tonight. Governor Walker visited one of those Red Cross shelters, the one in Mazomanie, this morning. He declared a state of emergency for Dane County earlier this week. He says the people impacted by the flooding will get help from the county and state, but it is still unclear if the federal government will help, saying the threshold for FEMA assistance is high.
We'll be collecting the information for people who have personal damage in their homes or personally. The 211 number is important for people to call, not only to record whatever damage there might be and to document that, but also in terms of additional aid or assistance.
News 3 will continue to bring you the very latest on the flooding. We'll have an update on conditions in Madison and surrounding areas tomorrow on News 3 this morning, and as always at channel3000.com. In other news, and new tonight at 10, the real estate developer that had sued the city of Madison over the funding of the Judge Doyle Square project has dismissed that lawsuit. City officials tell us tonight Beitler Real Estate Services filed to voluntarily dismiss that lawsuit yesterday. Beitler, a Chicago-based firm, sued the city in June after the Common Council passed a resolution approving an additional $11 million of public funds to complete the project. A UW football player who is accused of sexual assault was in court today. Quintez Cephas facing 2 counts of sexual assault. Police say his victims were 2 intoxicated women on one night in April. In court, the defense filed a motion to have one of those charges dismissed. They say they have evidence that proves Cephas's innocence, including a text conversation between Cephas and the alleged victim. The court has yet to grant that motion.
There were 3 people in that bedroom that night, and all 3 of them know the truth. And we want all the facts to come out to establish the truth.
If convicted, Cephas could spend up to 50 years in prison. Still to come tonight at 10, your updated forecast, including more on those additional chances for rain tomorrow. But first, why a Madison woman is calling for action after finding out she had a stake in a more than $3 million estate. Her story next at 10. Welcome back. We've probably all dreamed about inheriting a windfall, maybe from that rich great uncle that you never knew. But what if you opened up your mail tomorrow to find out you're the heir to an estate of an undisclosed amount of money, but to get it, you have to sign away 25% of it. That's what one local woman says actually happened to her, and now she's getting sued. Our Leah Linscheid has tonight's call for action.
This is a story about a man most of us never got to know.
No, I never met him.
Not even his own family.
He's my mom's cousin.
This is Vicki Feger. She's a distant cousin of Thomas Berry, a man who spent his life as a state capitol locksmith. By all accounts, a fair and honest man, living on modest means.
It talks about in his obituary how he followed the rules so clearly that one time it says Tom followed the stringent key card process so strictly that he once would not issue a key to a state VIP because they did not follow proper protocol.
When Barry died unexpectedly last spring, there was no one to call. No brothers or sisters, no wife or kids.
I'm gonna cry because that's what makes me so sad about it.
And that's where the story of this honest, frugal man takes a strange turn. When Vicki received a letter stating she was eligible as a distant cousin to inherit part of his estate.
And we all got FedEx packages in the mail.
A company called Skoll and Remica was offering to prove Vicki and her siblings were heirs to Mr. Berry's estate for a fee of 25%.
And that says the amounts we recover are often small, sometimes only a few $1,000s.
I mean, what she doesn't say could also be millions of dollars, you know what I mean?
Vicki ultimately signed the contract. Then shortly afterward, she was contacted by the guardian ad litem assigned to the estate, who informed her that frugal Mr. Berry had amassed a fortune worth $3.4 million.
Oh my God, it's worth a lot more money than I thought, and I just gave away 25% of it.
That is when Vicki started asking more questions.
And then I started doing more Google searching and researching, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is not good. Like, this isn't right. It's such an obscure industry that nobody sort of knows what to do with this.
It was hard for us to find anyone who knew much about air finding. The state has a law about air finders, but it only applies to unclaimed property or property that's already gone to probate court.
Most often it arises as ethical problems.
We ended up in Pennsylvania talking to forensic genealogist Michael Ramage. He outlined some of the same concerns Vicki had with the practice, starting with the fact that air finders often don't disclose much information about the estate they're pursuing.
Because they don't want them to find out on their own what estate it is, so that they don't have to sign the contingency agreement.
A statement from Skoll and Remica says the company talked to Vicki in an open and fair manner, sharing all the information they had at the time they contacted her, including the name of the estate. The company says it had no information about the value and didn't learn it was a large estate until almost 7 months later. There are other concerns with the industry. Ramage says these companies hire runners who keep tabs on estate court so they can get to heirs weeks before the court has an opportunity to contact them, often at a cheaper price. In the case of Mr. Berry's estate, the guardian ad litem in the case had petitioned the courts for $5 grand to pay an air finding company. Compare that to the $700,000 Skoll and Remica might have made on 25% of Berry's $3.4 million estate. So what if you get one of these letters? Michael Ramage has one major piece of advice. Contact an attorney.
Those lawyers should be able to tell them whether or not the arrangement with an air finder is legal or is asking for too much money or too large a share of the estate, or whether or not it might be easy just to find the relative by perhaps contacting a forensic genealogist.
Okay. This is their 25-page injunction against me and restraining order.
Vicki did more than that. She filed complaints with the Better Business Bureau and DACCAP. She now says Skoll and Remica is suing her for defamation.
That's the cease and desist. I mean, he was this honest man.
Vicki says she's being honest about her situation. Maybe a nod to the legacy of her distant cousin.
I'm just going to advocate for people, and I want people to be informed. I don't want people to have FedEx packages show up on their doorstep and go, oh my God, I have to sign with these people. You don't.
Skoll and Remica also commented on its lawsuit against Vicki Feger, saying it drafted a cease and desist letter long before she filed a complaint with the BBB and DACCAP, after the company says she was making false statements to its other clients. Skoll and Remica also had this to say in its statement. We have been in business for 70 years with thousands of satisfied clients and no prior complaints. You asked us to speak for our industry as a whole, but we can only tell you about our practices as honest and ethical. The company also points to its A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. With tonight's Call for Action report, I'm Leah Lynchide.
Leah, thank you. If you have a call for action for our volunteers, you can call them every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. The number there on your screen, or you can call for action anytime at channel3000.com. Well, hopefully more rain won't come in huge buckets like it did the other day. Dave Caulfield with our forecast, but rain, as we mentioned, is in the forecast.
Yeah, it's possible tomorrow as our next low pressure system gets closer. Right now, that low pressure system still in the Dakotas, but it's moving at a bit of a precipitous pace to the east, I should say, causing some severe thunderstorm watches in the Dakotas. But we could see a little bit of severe weather ourselves tomorrow, especially for southwestern Wisconsin. We could also see some heavy rain. So the severe weather outlook into Friday showing a slight risk of severe weather for the southwestern tip of Wisconsin, marginal risk for spots as far east as Madison. So some small hail and possibly some gusty winds along with that heavy rain threat, bringing an alert day to the forecast for Friday. Rain totals so far this August, about 8.5 inches of rain in Madison, close to 7 inches in Dubuque, and about 4 inches in Milwaukee. We are all basically across southern Wisconsin into northeastern Iowa running well ahead of schedule this month, about 5.5 inches ahead of schedule in Madison. So the last thing we need is more rain. Fortunately, that is a possibility tomorrow. Downtown Madison on the Edgewater Skycam. looking at mostly clear skies, but we'll see those clouds on the increase quickly as we head into tomorrow morning. Today's high of 77, just a little bit below normal of that 79. Which is normal for this time of year. Temperatures are in the upper 60s and maybe a few 70s closer to Black River Falls and La Crosse. Dew points are starting to come up a bit. That's that moisture transfer ahead of that low pressure system, especially for spots closer to Mineral Point and Platteville. It's about 10 degrees more humid compared to this time yesterday. So future track showing the showers and thunderstorms starting to form as early as very early on Friday. This first round of rain I don't expect to be very heavy. It's the following rounds into the afternoon and evening and even into the overnight hours of Saturday that could be a little bit on the heavy side. So the GFS precipitation potential painting about 1 to 1.5 inches of rain possible for portions of southern Wisconsin. Even close to 2 inches of rain can't be ruled out, especially if those downpours set up in just the right spots. Hopefully we come out on the low end of this, but I do have to alert you about the possibility of some more heavy rain. So overnight, those clouds build in, then scattered showers and thunderstorms develop late into early Friday morning. For tomorrow, mostly cloudy, scattered showers and thunderstorms will be with us with highs in the low 70s. So as we take a gander at your 7-day forecast, we will be dry for much of Saturday, and we'll have to really soak that in because we're going to get soaked once again as we head into much of next week. Lots of rain chances, some more heavy rain on Sunday. Temperatures will start out next week in the upper 80s.
Dave, thank you. Some Thursday night football in Stoughton. Highlights coming up next.
The high school football weekend gets an early start. Baraboo and Stoughton were scheduled to play tomorrow night, but they moved their game up to tonight in Stoughton, and they didn't charge admission for any inconvenience it might have caused moving the game. Baraboo jumps out the lead early. Brock Turkington throws to Alex Brown. That is a nice pitch and catch. The Thunderbirds take a 14-0 lead, but Stoughton wakes up after that. Adam Hobson to Nathan Hutcherson. He works his way into the end zone for the 15-yard score. Stoughton scored 28 straight points to win it 28-14. The Vikings are now 2-0 on the young season. By the way, Kimberly's okay. The Papermakers beat Wisconsin Rapids 42-0 tonight. Our Prep Mania game of the week is still on for tomorrow night. Middleton travels to Verona in an early season Big 8 showdown. We'll bring you the game live on TVW and live streamed on channel3000.com. 7 o'clock tomorrow night. The Packers play at Oakland at 9:30 tomorrow night. So who's going to be the Packers' #1 running back when they open the regular season September 9th against the Bears? Well, it's probably going to be second-year player Jamal Williams. With Aaron Jones suspended for the first 2 games, it looks like it's going to be Williams who will be the guy to start. Over the last 8 games last season, Williams averaged 65 rushing yards a game. And with his rookie year out of the way, Mike McCarthy looks for big things out of Jamal Williams.
Because you remember, these guys come out of college, they're training for the senior year, they come out of college, they're training for the draft, they get drafted, then get shift their training, they go to an NFL club, and they roll all the way into the longest season of their life. So then, boom, it's done. Catch your breath, but now you can see just the way he's developed physically. He's really posed to have a big year. So I think he's clearly, without playing a game yet, I think we'll be talking about him at the end of the season as a second-year player that's made the jump.
The Brewers sent Corey Knebel to AAA Colorado Springs tonight. They'll continue their homestand tomorrow night as the Pittsburgh Pirates come to Miller Park. The Cubs played tonight. They beat the Reds at Wrigley Field 7-1. Tiger Woods had a pretty so-so start to the FedEx Cup playoffs at the Northern Trust Tournament in New Jersey today. Even par 71, 2 birdies, 2 bogeys, pretty Tiger's tied for 60th. He's 5 shots behind the leaders Kevin Tway, Jamie Lovemark, Vaughn Taylor, and Sean O'Hare. And we'll be right back.
get a final look with Dave.
And more heavy rain could be on the way for some of us tomorrow, anywhere from an inch to possibly even 2 inches of rain by the time we get to Saturday morning. Lots of rain and thunderstorm chances tomorrow. Some could actually be a little bit on the strong side, maybe even severe. Highs will be in the upper 60s and low 70s. Then for the 10-day forecast, Saturday we should be mostly dry, but then on Sunday, more heavy rain is possible. Temperatures in the upper 80s to start next week.
All right, join us for News 3 this morning, tomorrow early for the very latest, plus all day long, channel3000.com. Thanks for joining us.
Making plans that are weather dependent? Get an accurate 12-hour, even a 10-day forecast. Download the Channel 3000 First Alert Weather app and start planning.